Hello everyone, welcome to the show, and in today's episode we are going to strip a bike down to just the frame. Take all the components off, the derailleurs, the brakes. We're going to take the wheels down. We're going to break the entire bike down into just parts so that at the end we have a bare frame which you could now sell, hang on a wall, do whatever. So let's not waste any time, let's get right into it. We begin by placing our bike in the stand and removing the front wheel. Next, we remove the cables from the components themselves. So undo the cable to the front derailleur, the rear derailleur, the front brake, and the rear brake. And we're also pulling the cable through so that the components are freed entirely of the cables. Once we do that, we move on to the chain. Now, if you have a quick link, great. You can separate the chain. Otherwise, you're going to have to break it like I did. Boo-hoo, off it comes. Now that that's happened, we don't need the rear wheel anymore, so that can come out. The rear derailleur can come off. The rear brake can come off. We just move on forward. Front derailleur, boom. I started with my front brake off, but that would be the last thing. And then the crank, Shimano crank, comes off easily. 1, 2, 3, and now we're pretty much completely stripped, just like that. So as you can see, our frame is stripped apart from the bottom bracket, which you can choose whether to leave in or not, the seat post. We do need to remove the handlebar. So you can see I've cut the cables, just a couple inches longer than the front pieces of housing. And I do that because I don't want to pull through jagged, worn, dirty ends through the shifter and everything. So I cut them so that they're going to be clean when I pull it through the shifter. And in this next part, I'm going to show you how to deal with an internally routed handlebar to save you a little hassle down the road. I want to walk you through this step carefully because a little time taken now can save you a ton of time later on down the road when we go to reinstall this handlebar. So like I said, this bar has internal routing and it can be a real pain in the butt fishing cables and housing through these small holes. So we make ourselves a little slack at the shifter with the cables. And to do that, I literally just, with everything disconnected, I just kind of slid the housing back in the bar and gave myself a little space. I'm then able to pull the cables out with that slack and get them out of the shifter. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the old cable, which I cut so it has a nice clean end, and I'm going to put it back through the housing. And what this is going to allow me to do, so you can see I have the end on this. It's now coming through. And now, and this is going to be hard to do while holding the camera, but I'll hold this down with my hands like that, and I'm going to pull that housing through, but the wire will remain. I'll then tape it to both ends, and I will have something in the bar which I can use to just push new housing through when I go to reinstall it. In case I wasn't being clear, I just wanted to show you visually now that I've actually gone and done it. So those are the cable ends. They're not in the shifter. They are still through the handlebar though. So when I go to use this handlebar again, I'm going to be able to just push the housing back now through these, and these wires are going to help me get it back through the bar. And I used a little tape to stop these from falling back through. I could even be so diligent and use tape on this end. But anyway, that's how this handlebar will be stored now, with the wires still through the bar. Now it's up to you what components you want to leave on the frame. Leaving a stem on there to hold the fork and headset together isn't a bad idea, but I will say this. If you're going to store the frame, consider removing the post and re-greasing it, and maybe just removing the bottom bracket altogether, because if they're currently corroding themselves in there and you let the frame sit, it's only going to make it that much harder to remove those parts later on down the road. With the parts off the bike, now is a great time to take those components and give them a nice cleaning. Maybe even consider doing a little service, like removing your pulley wheels and servicing those, which I'm going to do in the next video. So thank you for watching and stay tuned.